So transit gateway is a VPC feature that is used to connect more than 2 VPCs together. The moment your VPC is more than 2, as we have it here, once the VPC is more than 2, maybe from 3 up, you might not be able to use VPC peering, right? You still use VPC peering, but you have to do a lot of connections. At the end of the day, you might just confuse everything. You might just get confused, right? Because in between this guy, there has to be another VPC. Copy. Let me paste it. Oh, sorry. No. And there has to be another VPC. This VPC, there has to also be another peering connection that will link this guy to. All these guys will come into play. You can manage 3. What if it's now 4, 5? It starts becoming very complex. You won't be able to do it. There will be so many interconnectivity, so much. You might get confused. So the best service, right, feature for connecting more than 2 VPCs. When your VPC's connectivity is more than 2, you make use of what? A transit gateway. All right? A transit gateway is somewhere below here. Transit gateway, where are you? Transit gateway, right? So transit gateway attachments, and a whole lot. Transit gateway has its own route table. Okay, I've not actually gone this route. Okay, I've not gone this route. So this is where you do the connectivity on the transit gateway, but I'll give you an idea. But if you can go do this route, it will be a plus for you. I'll give you an idea. So this is the idea. You create the transit gateway. Then you attach the transit gateway to a VPC or to your resources, something like that. Then this route table, the transit gateway route table, right, is where you're going to create the different routes. So this route, what will be in this route is the VPC peering, the peering connections. So you do a lot of connections when dealing with what? Transit gateway. Just try it. I will take my time, try it one of these days. And I'll inform us once I try it. All right. Once I try it, I'll inform us. Okay. But bear in mind that transit gateway is a VPC feature that is used to connect more than 2 VPCs together. You use what? A transit gateway. Box it here. All right. Now here comes a NAT gateway. What's a NAT gateway? A NAT gateway, this feature is used to provide internet access to private hosts. Yesterday we did the other day we did version, right? Version and private hosts. And we saw how we were able to move from the version host to the private host. The version host has internet access, but the private host does not have internet access. But there's a way we can create internet access for the private host is with the use of what? A NAT gateway. So let me explain. Quickly. All right. Let me take this guy. Let me take this guy. Copy. So I'm through this place. Let me close. Remove this excess. All right. So in here, we have, let me call this guy sub A. Because we are using sub A now. There'll also be a private subnet for this guy. Let me call it private sub A. Private sub A. So this guy will be public sub A. All right. We don't need VPC endpoints. Okay. Now, somewhere within this VPC, we decided to set up a NAT gateway. Let me check Google. Internet image. Cloud. Copy image. All right. Now, this is the internet. This guy depicts the internet. Oh, what is in? Now, the private subnet, the private host wants to talk to the internet. For this guy to be able to talk to the internet, this guy will go through the NAT gateway. Look at the flow. This guy will contact the NAT gateway. All right. The request will be forwarded. This guy's request will be forwarded towards the NAT gateway. Then the NAT gateway in turn will now forward this guy request to the internet. So this flow is a one-way flow. One-way flow in the sense that requests coming from the internet may not be able to come back through the NAT gateway and get back to this host. So meaning that this private host can actually talk to the internet, but the internet will not be able to talk back. So once the internet tries to talk back, there will be loss of routes. Because what's happening here? Let me tell us what's happening here. Here's a NAT gateway. So a NAT gateway is standing in between a public network and a private network. Guys, listen, a NAT gateway is standing in between a public network, which is the internet, which is this, and a private network. A private network, no internet access. So now look, these resources these are private hosts. These guys, they have private IP addresses. And the characteristic, one of the major characteristics of a private IP address is that they are not routable on the internet. They are not routable. So these guys, they have private IPs that are not routable on the internet, right? They don't have any route. They don't know where the internet is. But however, one of them wants to talk to the internet. So now, let's say this guy, this particular one wants to talk to the internet. So he's going to send a request to the NAT gateway. So this NAT means network address translation. We need to be mentioning everything. NAT is an acronym that says network address translation. Network address translation. Now, it is responsible for translating a private IP to a corresponding public IP. Let's come down. What is it used for? It is responsible for translating a private IP to a public IP. Now, what this means is that when this request comes, when this request from this private host comes to the NAT gateway, the NAT is going to generate a temporary public IP. Listen, you generate a temporary public IP and assign it, and to create a session for this particular private host. Then this guy will be able to talk to the internet. So they are going to have a private IP to public IP mapping. Oh, Father. It's going to be a private IP to public IP mapping. So this mapping is at this level. So the private IP is this guy's private IP. is being mapped to a corresponding what? Public IP. So it is that public IP this guy will use to communicate with what? The internet. Now, when the internet tries to talk back, at this gateway, this mapping is lost. This mapping is lost. This guy can't talk back. So it's a one-way communication. So it's only this guy that can actually hit the internet. All right. Okay. So that's the idea why we need to protect this guy from internet access. So this is a picture. Before we go into implementing this whole structure, this is what we're going to implement. Is there any query? Is there any misunderstanding somewhere? Is there any misunderstanding somewhere? All right. All right. Let's get started. So I'm going to be updating my subnets, public sub A and private sub A. Let's come over here. Subnet. It's like I'll delete this sub A. Okay, no need. Just to edit, just the naming. Pub sub A. All right. So the only thing I need to create is a private sub A. This guy already has a routable association that creates subnets in VPC-A. So to be private sub A. CWLOG 11.0.2.0/24. Create. Now, this guy will need a route table. Create route table. Private RTA. In which VPC? VPC-A. Create. I'm about to delete that VPC-B. This guy still do here. All right. Okay. Now, we need to now create a NAT gateway. But before we create a NAT gateway, let's go and achieve this part. Let's create a version host and create a private host. So let's go there. Come here. Come here. Please, someone should put office here. Instances. Launch. Let me change this guy to version. Version host. Launch a new instance. Let me call it a private host. That's okay. Keep here. Frankie. Network settings. Because I don't want this guy to be in the network, I'm giving what? Private subnet. Disable. Security group, can always give it ASG. That's fine. That's fine. Launch. View. Okay. So now let's try to initiate connection between the version host and the private host. So they share the same key. It's the same key of Frankie. So there's Frankie. So I have this Frankie on my base machine. All right. So let me try to connect to this guy. Connect. All right. So let me go and copy down my key. Come over here. Come to my base machine. To my base machine. So I'm going to cut my frank key .pem. So that's the key. So I'll copy that. Copy. Come over here. I'll use my nano. My key .pem. I'll paste that. I'll try to exit, save, modified buffer, say yes, save, yeah. So I have, that's it, that's my key. Now, I'll now try to connect. Let me pick the words, the connection string. Connect, SSH client, copy here, come over here, paste that, try to connect. I say yes. What is the permission denied? Oh, sorry, it's a different key. The key is my key instead. My key. All right, so what's it saying? It's to expose. So 400, ch mode, 400, my key. That's it. So let's connect now. All right, so you can see I've been able to initiate that connection from my version host to my private host. Let me exit. I've exited. Now, from my version host, I can actually reach the internet by trying to ping Google. I can reach the internet. That's fine. So if I try to initiate, connect again to my private host, if I try to do a Google pinging, so I cannot reach Google, right? Because there is no route. Okay, there's no route. So this is what I will do. Okay, let me keep it running. I'll come to this is my whiteboard, right? So I need to create a NAT gateway. So I'll come to my route table, to my VPC. I'll come down to NAT gateway. I'll click on create NAT gateway. I'll give you the name, demo NAT. Now I need to create this NAT gateway in a subnet. All right. So I'll create this gateway in a public subnet. Guy, understand though? I'll put it in a public subnet so that it will have internet access. So let's put this guy in a public subnet. So this is my public subnet, pub sub A. Let me modify my diagram. Take note that your NAT gateway has to be deployed inside what? A public subnet. Take note, guys. Subnets will be what? Pub sub A. The connectivity type is going to be public. It's public. Now, I need to associate an elastic IP. All right. So elastic IP is a static IP, which also have internet access. All right. Because if I try to create this guy now, to drop an error that it needs an IP. So it is that IP that it will use be performing the translation at this gateway, at this junction. All right. So come back here. I don't know these guys. They are somewhere, but let me just click allocate elastic IP. Just click allocate for elastic IP. So once you click that guy, it automatically give it what? An elastic IP. So that's it. All right. Let me take note of that ID so that when I want to delete it, I can delete it. The last 6 digits, last 3 digits, 029. So that's all, guys. Click on what? Create NAT gateway. The NAT gateway has been created. Let me check. All right. It has been created. All right. But up till now, there's no connection, right? Because it's not associated anywhere. So we need to associate this NAT gateway. So the route table of what? The private subnet. Because see, from our diagram, this private host is using a private subnet. And this private subnet is associated with a private routable. Let me check that if it's there. Subnet, private routable. Oh, it's not associated yet. Edit routable association and add it to what? The private route table A. Save. So that guy has been associated with what? The private route table. Now, for there to be access, I need to associate the private route table to where? To this NAT gateway. This is what I will do. Come back here. Go to your route table. Sorry, go to your route table. Open your private route table. Come to route. Click on edit route. Add the route. The route is alwhere, everywhere. Then the target is a NAT gateway. Demo NAT. Click on demo NAT. Click on save. So far, we've seen this, we've connected everything. Now let's check if our guy has started. You can see now. The moment we connected this guy, we've started receiving what? Traffic from the internet. We've started sending traffic to the internet. So we are sending traffic to the internet. From where? Our private host. So this guy, everything is now connected. So they are now talking. This guy is now talking to the internet. Address translation is now done at this juncture, right? Private IP to public IP mapping is now initiated. Communication is now going forth. Is now going forth. Because there is no track back. Track back in the sense that this guy does not have a public IP. That's why I said somebody on the internet cannot talk to this guy. You can't talk to this guy because this guy does not have a public IP. Guys, then see him now. See him. There's no public IP attached to what? This private host. So you can't talk. The internet can't talk back to him. So the communication is only one-way communication. One-way communication. So we can't have. Let me copy this guy. So we can't have a back and forth communication. It's just only one way. Because if I try to reach this guy, there's no public IP. So I cannot. Right? So this is NAT gateway. Any question, guys, before we move to the last topic for today? All right. So I'll be deleting everything. So that's fine. So that's it. So that's it. So that's how you can make a private host to talk to the internet with the use of what? NAT gateway. So far so good. So far so good. We are moving. Yeah. So let me delete the connections. Subnets. I don't need this private subnet again. Edit routes. So routable. Private routable routes edits. I can remove this NAT gateway. Save changes. Subnets. And go to subnets. Private sub. I want to delete it. Cannot. Okay, it's attached to an instance. a private instance. So I want to delete that private instance, which is this. So I'll terminate this guy, private host, terminate private host, terminate. What else? What else? What else? What else? NAT gateway, demo NAT, actions, delete NAT, delete, delete. It's going down. Subnets, PR sub, delete, delete, delete. Okay, routable. Do you have PR routable? Edit, delete, delete. All right, so we are left with just one subnet, public sub A. That's fine. And VPC, yeah, that's great. Now, guys, okay, let me now stop this other recording, which is NAT gateway, so I can finalize it. Come over here, stop recording.